New overnight, Israel is telling around 100,000 people that they need to evacuate this area of Gaza, eastern Rafah. Israel wants them to go to a humanitarian area called Al-Musai, which while they prepare for a ground invasion. Overnight, NBC News crews report that they saw the IDF drop leaflets, telling people to get out. More than 1 million people have been sheltering in Rafah, and the United Nations has warned that a ground offensive like this will likely mean a lot more deaths. President Joe Biden has also said that he is against Israel invading Rafah. So far, there's no time for when an invasion might happen.
Today, the director of the CIA, William Burns, is in Israel trying to get Israel and Hamas to agree to a ceasefire and hostage deal. Secretary of State Antony Blinken tried to do the same thing last week without success. Hamas is calling for an end to the war, while Israeli officials claim Hamas is not serious about reaching a truce.
Back in the U.S., it is another week of protests on more than 70 college campuses. At last check, more than 2,300 protesters have been arrested, and these protests have caused big disruptions on campuses. Today, UCLA is set to go back to in-person classes after canceling them last week. USC has already canceled its main commencement and will hold a different graduation ceremony instead.
As safety threats rise at synagogues, mosques, and churches, the federal government just released $400 million in new funding to boost security at places of worship. They have a few weeks to apply for a grant. Over the weekend, multiple synagogues in New York reported bomb threats. New York Senator and Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says this new funding will help all places of worship pay for things like security guards, cameras, and fencing.
Lawmakers in Colorado have just a few more days to get through a list of bills. The legislative session ends on Wednesday. The Senate worked through the weekend until around 2 a.m. on Sunday. This is the third time that the Colorado State Senate convened on a Sunday in the past year. Before 2023, the Senate had gone 84 years without meeting on a Sunday. In that rare Saturday session, the Senate and House passed through bills related to oil and gas regulation, election deadlines, and same-sex marriage. One bill that could be on the table this week would increase ticket price transparency in Colorado by eliminating extra fees, so the price you see would be the price you pay. It would account for sporting events and live music events as well. The bill would also mean that you get a refund when events are canceled, and it would crack down on deceptive websites pretending to be official ticket sites or venues. Right now, groups across the Denver area are raising awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
And as reporter Courtney Yoon is joining us live right now from the Denver Indian Center. And Courtney, tell us more about Red Dress Day and why it's so important.
Corey, Jordan, here outside the Denver Indian Center, these red ribbons in the tree will be on display all month long to raise awareness. Murder is the third leading cause of death for Indigenous women. The ribbons are a visual reminder of the thousands of missing Indigenous people in the United States. The first Red Dress Day was in 2010. It got its name because people started putting out red dresses on hangers, symbolizing the women who are missing or killed with no one there to wear them. David Wright with the Denver Indian Center says they do have missing and murdered Indigenous alerts that go out through CBI. However, he says Red Dress Day is necessary because many people don't realize how big this problem really is.
It's incredibly painful when you see a family going through the struggles that they're going through right now. I know there's at least 2 individuals in the city of Denver that has still been missing since January.
Statistics show Indigenous women face disproportionate violence compared to white women. More than 4 out of 5 have experienced violence, and more than half have been physically abused by their partners, according to the National Criminal Justice Training Center. Red Dress Day was yesterday, but these red ribbons will be on display all month long. Live in Denver, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
All right, Courtney, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you.
This week, President Biden is expected to sign a bill targeting online child sextortion. The bill, called the Report Act, will help strengthen the national tip line that manages reports of child sexual exploitation. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says they got more than 36 million reports last year. That's a 360% increase over a decade ago. The law will also require social media platforms to report child sex trafficking and online enticement, plus increase fines for failure to report.
This week, we could see a big vote in the U.S. House. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is planning to introduce a resolution calling to oust House Speaker Mike Johnson. She says she's unhappy Johnson pushed through a foreign aid package last month that helps Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Many Republicans have said they're against the push to get rid of Johnson, and Democrats say that they will vote to kill the plan and support Johnson staying as Speaker.
This week, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration plans to reclassify marijuana as a lower-risk drug. Right now, it's considered a Schedule I drug, which means the government considers it to have no medical use and a high potential for abuse. The Justice Department wants to move it to Schedule III. Those substances are considered to have more moderate to low potential for dependence. Reclassifying it doesn't mean marijuana will be legal. The change still has to be approved by the White House. If it takes effect, it'll be the most significant change in policy in more than 50 years.
There is a new rule when it comes to protecting your private health information. Under new federal guidance with HIPAA, patients have a right to privacy with their medical information, even if they travel to another state for an abortion, birth control, or IVF. The change is designed to prevent medical records from being used against someone who provided or received reproductive care. That new federal guidance comes nearly 2 years after Roe versus Wade was overturned. And as more women come to states like Colorado seeking abortion care, Aaron Seedorf with MSU Denver says this new rule would take away the fear for both doctors and patients when they need to provide medical records.
It's come out of a need to really assure that that patient privacy in this particular area is maintained, so that patients can be confident that their continuation of care will happen even in this era.
Seedorf says it's not unusual for federal officials to update HIPAA when times or even technology changes, like when doctors' offices switch from paper to electronic health records.
It's 6:09 right now, and abortions have been back in the spotlight recently now that new restrictive laws are in place, especially in the southern U.S. In Florida, new restrictions outlaw almost all abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. That's before most women even know they're pregnant. This map shows restrictions across the U.S. The red shows where abortion is banned. The pink is where it's limited up to 6 weeks. Until this new law passed, many women in nearby states would travel to Florida to get an abortion. This means more women are expected to come to states like Colorado to get abortions. The CEO of Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains says they're already preparing. She's expecting thousands of women to come here to Colorado. She says they've seen it time and again over the past 2 years as other states ban abortion.
And one thing you want to know about the weather are the stats that we're going to see today. And as far as the high goes, 59 degrees. That compares to a normal high of 66 degrees. The normal low would be 40 degrees. The record, 86 from 2017, and exactly 100 years before that in 1917, the low of 23 degrees.
Ed, thank you so much. I do want to show you this video that Adams County Fire, they posted on social media, just giving us a better look of exactly, if we can get that video up, exactly on their efforts on trying to reopen I-25. You can see that they are cutting part of the pole right now. So this is not the full video. We do want to get that video in here soon, but you can see the large overhead sign is basically blocking all of I-25. Those left lanes still blocked off. That right lane should reopen up shortly.
This is having a major impact this morning. We're going to keep a close eye on that for you. It is now 6:10 on your Monday morning, and right now we want to say a huge thank you to everyone who came out to Furry Scurry this weekend. This is the Dumb Friend League's largest fundraiser to help homeless animals, 31 years and running. About 4,000 people, plus their dogs and even some cats, came out for a 2-mile walk around Denver's Wash Park. Organizers say they were able to raise nearly $750,000 because of people like you and your generous hearts. Thank you so much. Now, if you missed the event, don't worry. There's still time to donate through May 24th on the Dumb Friends League website. Corey and I got a front row seat to all the action, like that cat in the stroller right there. There was a lot of fun costumes, a good time. Truly a blast.
It was a blast. I went home though, and my dog was like, "You've been cheating on me."
My dog was sniffing everywhere too. Yeah.
Yes, but the cats in the little carriers and the dogs in the wagons, and they raised so much money. And it was dry. We've had a couple weekends where it's been wet and terrible, so it wasn't a bad day.
Yeah, an incredibly successful event, and I think we left with more motivation to up the stakes even more next year.
Bring it on.